are you prioritizing your life for greatness? The things that you got to put in priority is your work ethic, your discipline, your consistency of, your work ethic and discipline. How much time are you putting into your craft?
Hi, welcome to Fit Kids Conversations. I'm your host, David Jacobson. Today I'm joined by Quincy Carter, star quarterback from the University of Georgia and an NFL star as well, and now president of the Quincy Carter Foundation. Quincy, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about the foundation, what its goals are and mission, and how you're doing these days.
Oh, man, I'm doing great. And I'm in a really, really great place in my life. Of course, it's been well documented, some of the things that I've been through. But to really surrender to God, surrender to the AA program, and live a life of recovery. And more importantly, just find my relationship with God has been special. And so here back in 22, I've always had a vision of really helping people, getting out in my community and being involved and seeing what the needs are. And so I wanted to start a foundation. And so in November 22, we kicked off and started this foundation. Our, mission is to really get in the neighborhoods and promote and advocate for substance-free communities. We do that through hosting camps, hosting clinics, me doing some public speaking and some mentoring. And we want these kids to, be exposed to how to really live a healthy life. And that's not just eating the right foods, exercising. We speak, to the hearts and minds of these young men and women and really talk about some deep issues as far as, substance abuse, as far as mental health. And we just want to, make that awareness to these kids so they can go out and talk to somebody. The resources are there. And really speak to the minds of the youth.
Bless you for that work you're doing. Let's talk a bit about your path. I know you did play baseball and football in high school at a high level and back and forth between baseball minor leagues and then University of Georgia. What I'm really interested in, especially for the Fit Kids audience, which is teaching K through 8 kids primarily in fitness fundamentals, is what was your experience with a broad range of fitness activities at a young age that helped you excel in those sports?
Well, I was the kid that got dropped off the bus from school at my recreation park, Gresham Park. And so that's where my love for sports grew. But not only, on the football field, on the diamond, or in the basketball gym, but the bumper pool competitions we had, the table tennis competitions, heck, even dodgeball. So that's where I learned my love for sport. That's where I learned, my competitiveness, my interaction with kids, because I was the only child. So I was a little reserved, I would say, in my early years. But then, sport brought my personality out, and it gave me a platform of, learning myself, getting some self-esteem, getting some confidence about myself. So it was everything for me to get off that bus, but homework first. But after that, it was a free fall what sport we played.
Terrific. So it sounds like you just did a lot of running around, and whatever activity engaged you, like a lot of us did before everything got so organized and
money driven, David.
Right. Right. Afraid so. That's great that you had that whole range of activities. How did you really kind of fall in love with baseball and football and choose that as your path?
Well, baseball was first for me. I don't know exactly why baseball, but it was the sport that heck, the first sport I seen that was outside because as soon as the fall and the winter was done, spring was coming. I would see the kids out there and pretty much, wanted to get involved. And then also, I had all my friends and what have you getting involved with baseball who, was in the after school program with me. I guess it was a no brainer for me, but that, aha moment, I don't know exactly when it happened. But just pretty much just seeing them outside, getting ready to start practice, and I was going home. And so I wanted to get involved.
Yeah, it just gets the blood pumping a little bit, right? Even to be around the field or the gym or whatever. We talked a little bit before off screen about your coach who recently passed, and I would like to hear about him, his impact on your life, whatever tribute you might like to pay him here.
Oh yes, Coach Napoleon Cobb. He was actually my because I didn't go to middle school, so I went to high school in the eighth grade. So he was my eighth grade coach. He was also my ninth grade JV coach because we didn't have a quote unquote ninth grade team. We had a JV, and so we spent a lot of time together. He taught me how to run the option. He taught me how to do. How to make simple reads, flat curl, flat slant, and reading that outside linebacker. But he also gave me the confidence that I could play quarterback because I was a late bloomer at quarterback, as a matter of fact. I didn't start really playing quarterback till I was 12 years old. And so when I was 13 and went to high school, I was kind of raw, but he seen the potential in me. He instilled, some confidence in me that I'll be able to run through a brick wall. But all the lives he affected on the track, because that's where he got his most due from, is coaching 3 or 4 Olympians, winning what I want to say 8 or 9 state championships at my high school, a couple others at the previous school he had coached that before he came to us. But he was just one special man. He was.
And we're sorry for your loss, and at the same time, glad
Thank
that you had that sort of impact, and glad for the sort of impact now you're having on the youth, paying it forward. I think that's wonderful.
you. Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the environment in which you're teaching these kids and where they come from, and what that's like, what challenges they're facing.
I would say underprivileged neighborhood, but I got the opportunity to play baseball up in East Cobb in more of a all-white area. And when I was 13, through high school, to the age of 17, 18. So my heart goes out to everybody. It goes out to the underprivileged kids. It goes out to the affluent kids that can get their hands on some money and get closer uh, to some substances or things that they shouldn't be involved in. Even reaching over to the Hispanic neighborhoods. So I've been able to really have some life experiences that has opened up my mind and my heart to help, God's people, because we're all going through something. It doesn't matter, white, black, Hispanic, it does not matter. So God has, been able to put me in places, where it's all white kids and it's all black kids and it's a mixture, but it's from my experiences that I'm able to reach so many kids because, the path God set me on. So yeah, I'm reaching them all, Dave.
I'm curious to know kind of how the kids respond to you, how frank you are with them about the personal challenges you had to confront, and then going through AA, and however you want to talk about that, and how it
Yeah.
now really resonates with the kids.
Yeah, I'm very frank about it because I understand um, that these, young men and women are being exposed to everything. Growing up, David, we didn't have a device in our hand to pretty much research anything we wanted to. Us as parents, and I'm a parent, you can try to put these parental little deals on their phones or devices, but they're so smart they can get through that. So I, depending on the age group now, not too young. My first and second graders, third graders, I kind of hold back a little bit. But my fourth graders and on up, you got to be frank with them. You got to be honest with them. I talk about the smoke pens. I talk about the vapes. I talk about these, candies that's being passed around the neighborhood that may have fentanyl in them. And you put one of those in your mouth and you're gone. So I'm very frank about it. And then I'm also exposing them, to mental health, to talking about the little things that may be bothering them, to talk about that stepdad, relationship that's just not the greatest at home, to talk about the stepmom, relationship, to talk about, hey, well, my dad comes home and drinks every day. My mom comes home and maybe she's smoking, because I know I've affected my kids by some of my actions. So, being exposed to it and going through it myself and having kids that is, consequently suffered from some of the things I've done. I gotta expose these kids to these things. So it only works, for the betterment of the family and to gel the family back together and everybody heals. So I'm very frank with them.
What are some of the more impactful responses you get from the kids in terms of them coming to you and saying, "Hey, Quincy, you said this and it affected me this way"?
I've had numerous kids come up to me, and even, going as far as, hey, I think I may have a problem, or hey, I'm glad you talked about this because I'm going through something similar in my household. So it's been a great, response to some of these real life situations that's going on in their household.
Can you talk about how sports and fitness plays into that? How you see it contributing to mental health, especially, and how kids can use that as kind of a springboard into better life?
It's well documented through doctors that the more endorphins you burn off, the better you feel. So just from that aspect, the aspect of learning new things on a football field, baseball diamond, in the gym for basketball, heck, volleyball, but learning new skill sets, getting confidence in yourself, your self-esteem goes through the roof. The camaraderie with your teammates also. Being able to socialize but having that team concept, idea of everybody working together towards one common goal and accomplishing that goal is just not a better feeling.
I talked to Herm Edwards some years ago, and he talked about who's in your huddle. That's the most important question in life. Who's in your huddle? Meaning, who do you surround yourself with? Who are your teammates? Who's there to support you? So let's talk a bit about the support system and how you try to get kids to realize the importance of that support system and who they're choosing to be around.
Oh man, Herm Edwards is my guy. I played for Herm up in New York. You talking about a great guy. But yeah, it's everything. I'm sure you've probably heard this quote before. Show me your future. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. And that is so true. So the people, that's in your lives, your friends, your so-called confidants that you go to for, the things that you don't want to share with everybody else. But what is that person really giving you? Are they giving you the truth, or are they giving you something that you want to hear? So the people around you means everything. Your parents, give instilling that confidence in you in a on a daily basis. So the people around you will definitely, you can see your future in them.
Absolutely. Can you talk about just when you start achieving at a high level? You've had that experience, obviously, and maybe you've got kids underneath you that are on that path. What are some of the ups and downs of actually achieving, reaching goals, and then kind of wondering what's next? And as you try to really climb that ladder at the highest levels of competition.
Success is the ultimate goal, but with success, becomes a higher ladder that you have to climb. For me, because I always wanted to reach greatness, but with success, you're going to get the distractions also. So the main thing when you're climbing that ladder is the things that you got to put in priority is your work ethic, your discipline, your consistency of your work ethic and discipline. How much time are you putting into your craft? How much time are you now digging into your books now? Because you got to get the books to stay on the field. So are you prioritizing your life for greatness? And then the more success you get, like I say, the more distractions. I won't get too X-rated on here with some of the things that gets thrown at you. But just know with success, they come.
Well, thanks for keeping it PG-13. We appreciate that. Any specific advice you might have for parents or coaches that they can use to do a good job supporting their youth, not just in terms of on-field success, but life lessons as well?
Yeah, as a parent, having two graduates that played college basketball, I've got a little experience, and it's the support. Our young men and women, they didn't grow up like us. As hurtful as this may be, but we're not the only parents anymore. They've got a parent on these devices and cell phones that's telling them a whole nother message than what we're preaching. So supporting their dreams and their endeavors, is what I found out is the most important thing. Implementing for me, my relationship with God, has been able to open my eyes up to, them having a relationship with God and understanding where everything is coming from, letting them understand that, this sport is going to be done with you before you're done with it. So where's your life lining up after football, after basketball, after baseball? So having that foundation for them to be led, in the right direction. And, they're going to have their own dreams and aspirations. And and they sometimes don't meet ours, expectations or our dreams for our kids. But being there in support of them, understanding what they're going through, and just letting them know you're there. And, from there, they've got to, learn on their own and make their own mistakes. But just being there in support is the biggest thing.
You've talked a couple times now about devices, and these are things that we've been concerned about at Fit Kids as well, because it does sometimes become so all-consuming that kids forget to get up and move around, and it starts to affect their physical and mental health. But what kind of encouragement do you give to the kids, or what sorts of controls do you try to put in, even with the youth you're leading, in terms of their phones and what all is going on when you have a chance to impact that phone usage versus other things they could be doing in their lives?
Well, I talk about it frankly as far as the time that they're spending on it. And if you're going to spend your time on that phone for so many hours, why don't you watch some film on that phone? Why don't you look up, some yoga routines so you can stay fit and stay stretched out, and don't have those little nagging injuries that pops up, if you don't have the right flexibility. So using it for their advantage, looking up, workouts, looking up extra footwork for quarterbacks and things of that nature. So I try to encourage them to go that route. But then, on the discipline aspect of it, put a timer on yourself. See how much time you're spending on social media, whether, the time you need to be on that phone, using it for studying film. I also got this deal where, I'm a big believer in the, icing your legs and making sure your body's fresh. And I tell them, just take the phone in there in the ice tub with you. It's okay. Yeah, use your time wisely. Yeah, you can be doing whatever on that phone. All right, but just take it with you in there and make sure your body is at least fresh.
That's good, because that way keeps your mind off of how much that ice hurts.
Exactly.
So Quincy, we've got just a couple of minutes left. I want to make sure you have a chance to shout out your foundation one more time, give the website address and any other information like that you want to share.
You can find information about my foundation, and what all things we're doing in the community at the QuincyCarterFoundation.com. That's the QuincyCarterFoundation.com.
And I just want to give you a heartfelt thanks from Fit Kids. Really appreciate the work you're doing in your community, some of the rawness and honesty with which you explained the background to us. And it's just been wonderful speaking with you.
Oh, thank you, David, and thank you for having me.